I would not have done what he did. It just is, you're up 3-1. Why would you freaking stand with a freaking multi-champion glory kickboxer? It just doesn't make any sense. You already had 6 minutes of ground control. You could definitely take him down one more time. Calm down, calm down, calm down. A lot of people are talking Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira rematch. Is it gonna happen? Is it Alex Pereira retiring? What is he doing? How long of a break is he taking? What is gonna happen between these two next? Now, these guys have already fought 3 times. 2 times in kickboxing, 1 time in MMA. I've talked about it multiple times. If you haven't heard about it, if you don't know about it, go back and watch the other videos. A big thing that's not talked about with these 3 fights is in each of these fights, Israel Adesanya has been the more dominant fighter in the majority of the fight. In the first fight, it went to a decision. It seemed like Israel Adesanya was dominating, and it was more of a judge kind of problem. But, it was a close fight no matter what. The second one, it seemed like Israel Adesanya was dominating the fight, and then he got knocked the fuck out. Same thing happened in the MMA fight that we just saw in UFC 281. Israel Adesanya was up 3-1 going into the 5th round, and then he gets knocked out in the 5th. In my opinion, if I were him, I would have had a little bit of a different strategy going into the 5th. I think we were on the same kind of frequency with what the strategy was, but I think he changed the strategy going into the 5th. I don't know if he had to. I don't know if it was because of an injury or something he was dealing with in the fight. But I would not have done what he did. It just is, you're up 3-1. Why would you freaking stand with a freaking multi-champion glory kickboxer? It just doesn't make any sense. You already had 6 minutes of ground control. You could definitely take him down one more time. Calm down, calm down, calm down. But anyways, there's a lot of rumors though out there right now that Alex Pereira is retiring. The only reason that he came to the UFC, he said, was just to beat Israel Adesanya. And now that he's done that, he's going to go back to Brazil and do who knows what. But the real thing that I want to get at is there's probably a rematch clause in his contract with the first fight that just happened in UFC 281. These title fights have contracts in them. They have stipulations within the contracts, and usually one of them being a rematch clause, especially with such a dominant fighter like Israel Adesanya, who's held the belt for 3 years, 4 years now, close to that. And Dana White said in the press conference, Israel Adesanya has fought every single time that they have asked him to fight. Israel Adesanya talked about he wanted to fight 3 times this year because he wanted to make a point that when you get the belt, a lot of people will just kind of try and prolong having the belt. They'll try and be on the top of the world for as long as possible because they know it's not going to last forever. And by doing that, you take less fights. You take 1 fight, you prepare for a long time. If you win that fight, you take even longer for the next fight. And Israel Adesanya threw that mentality out the window, and I think is trying to change that mentality in the UFC, and I'm all about it. But because he has that mentality, I think there's going to be a rematch 100%. We are going to see these guys fight a 4th time. It's just a matter of when. I think Israel Adesanya is going to go through some surgery, try and get some of his knee fixed up. I know he was talking about that on the Flagrant podcast with Andrew Schultz. Really good podcast to go listen to if you guys already haven't, as well as some of the videos that I've posted about it. Just saying. But, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. The biggest question is, when is Israel Adesanya going to come back? I think we're definitely going to see a 4th fight. And then I think a big question to ask after that is, are we going to see a 5th fight? Because if we're going to see a 4th fight and Israel Adesanya wins, we have to see a 5th fight. It's just like we have to. Come on. You can't leave it on even odds or on even numbers. Come on, you got to go all 5. You got to have it so someone's won more. To add on to that, if Izzy was to get this rematch against Alex Pereira in the 4th fight, I would literally do exactly the same thing you did in the last fight, in the first MMA fight you just had in UFC 281. Do exactly what you just did. Get up 3-1, get up 3-0, 4-0, whatever it is. But take him down in the 5th round when you are up. Do not Go into this fourth fight and try and strike with him at the end, because I think that is his strategy. I think Pereira might have a strategy against Izzy of kind of wearing him out at the beginning, and then last round, last 2 rounds, he just empties out his gas tank. He gives it all he's got, 100,000,000%, not 110. We're talking everything. He's going out of this fight with zero energy left. We're freaking carrying Alex Pereira out if we have to. That's his mentality, I think. And it's been working. It's worked 2 out of the 3 times that they've fought. So why wouldn't he do it again? If the pattern continues to work, why change it? It doesn't make any sense to change it. I think he would have the same strategy, maybe a little bit more grappling experience, because obviously that's his weakness. His weakness was definitely exposed that his ground game is shit. Absolute shit. Dog shit, horse shit, it's the worst type of shit. So it's going to be interesting to see how much he works on that and how much he's improved on the ground when it comes to the rematch with Izzy, or really with defending the title against anyone in that division. You have a whole bunch of killers when it comes to being on the ground. So you definitely don't want to have that as your biggest weakness, or at least have it as much of a weakness as it was in that fight. So not only does Alex Pereira have Israel Adesanya on the horizons of next fights, and I think probably on that's probably more of the more likely chance, but to go into more of this deeper, who could Alex Pereira fight, a big controversy that's been going back and forth over the past week or two. I know Khamzat Chimaev, he's been talking, and I know he backs it up. He can do all the fucking talking he wants. He goes out and finishes a fight in fucking 30 seconds with ease against Kevin Holland. He can go out and talk his shit if he wants to. And I think it would be interesting because he's talking about moving up to 185 and fighting Alex Pereira for the belt there. And I don't know if he would have a fight or two to lead up to that fight, or he would just go right into being a contender for the belt. But I think it's interesting to see a fighter at his level kind of being a high-ranked fighter at 170, trying to move up to 185 and be a contender at 185 as well. We usually don't see people move up weight classes if they don't have a belt, if they're struggling in their weight division and have already fought at a higher or lower weight class and are somewhat more comfortable at that other weight class, so they try and change and try and make a run for it in that other weight class. You usually don't see a dominant fighter who's dominant right now in a weight division go up and try and be dominant in another weight division at the same time. Because I think what Khamzat is trying to do is kind of attain both belts around the same time, which I think would be really big and obviously never done before. Usually you see one person attain one belt and then fight a fighter that's a high contender in a higher weight division or lower weight division, and then they'll fight for the belt. And sometimes they'll fight just right for the belt. But, they make a long run in their one weight division. They don't bounce back and forth in weight divisions while attaining a belt when they haven't attained a belt before. It's really interesting to see. And I think he's kind of definitely a different breed of a fighter. We don't see this. We haven't seen it before, and who knows if we'll see it again. But I think he's just a really entertaining person to be following right now because he's got so many different opportunities. I think whatever fight he gets, it's going to be interesting. I know he's also talking about fighting Colby Covington at 170 and then maybe fighting Usman after that. Who knows? Maybe Leon Edwards. Who knows? There's so many entertaining fights that this guy has that he could have lined up. I think it's just, when is this shit going to happen? I know he's talking about possibly filling up this January card because we have December filled with the heavyweights, or the light heavyweights, with Yuri and Tejera. We also have February filled with Islam and Volk, leaving January open, and Khamzat's been, bringing his freaking name back into the freaking ring, so who knows what we'll see for January. At the end of the day, though, Khamzat Chimaev, Alex Pereira, Israel Adesanya, these guys are all entertaining fighters. The UFC continues to deliver with entertaining fights, and that's why I'm a fan of this sport. MMA in general is just one of the most entertaining things. For me personally, I'm a big fan of it, and if you guys are too, feel free to join the community. Feel free to keep on coming back, watching the videos. I enjoy answering your guys' comments. I think we're starting to really grow here. So, I appreciate you guys following me. I'll definitely try and follow you guys back as well. You guys can follow my Instagram and Twitter. The links for that are in the description. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think are going to be happening next with Alex Pereira, Khamzat Chimaev. What is going to happen next with these fighters? And with that, have a great motherfucking day.